welcome back. It's time now to talk to you about the components that we will be using for this particular system we plan on building in part 2 or later on in this course. Here we go. So now I just want to remind you that these components that we're going to show you, we're just showing you kind of an overall characteristic of the components. You will be able to find links to all of this stuff that we're going to show you later on after the videos. But please remember that you can always go out and search for components or devices with these similar characteristics. Now, you might not find that this exact solar panel is available to you. Maybe a better version of it is available for you and even cheaper. You never know. By the time you're building your system, you just never know. Also, if you want to build something more powerful, do that too. So here we go. Let's dive in here. Now, you can see here we have our. We're going to kind of follow the path that we did in the chart earlier, right? So we started with the solar panels. Here's the solar panels that we chose to use. In general, we were restricted not only by what we wanted to power the load of our system, but also size, right? We wanted to make our system portable enough to roll around. And we'll talk about the case we use later, but these panels were chosen because we wanted them to fit on the case, and we also wanted them to fit in our case for transporting reasons. Now, these panels, eco-worthy solar panels, you can see some of the characteristics there. Power 10 watts, open circuit voltage, that's what the OC stands for, 20.6 volts, short circuit current, which is 0.69. Now, if we wanted to, for example, put 2 of these panels in parallel, right? Well, we would be adding 2 of the currents, right? So then if we put one alone, then we would have 0.69 amps provided to our charge controller, which comes next. But if we put 2 in parallel, you can see there ISC total, so I short circuit total would be 1.38 amps. We would add them because they're in parallel. Same can be said as if we added them, if we added the voltage in series. So if we put 2 of these panels in series, then the open circuit voltage would add, and we would end up with 21 or 41.2, right? So 41.2 volts, open circuit voltage. All the rules of circuit analysis apply to this as well. Now, we wanted to pair this, or at least stay within the boundaries of our charge controller, the brain of the system. And the panels feed into the charge controller, and look what the charge controller is capable of. So the charge controller is capable of a open circuit voltage of a max of 40 volts, right? So that being said, we almost couldn't put these 2 panels in series, because if we put them in series, we'd be pushing that threshold very close. Now, the charge controller is capable of 30 amps short circuit, so we are way under the limit on the short circuit current. That means that if we wanted to, we could put a bunch more of these panels in parallel and beef up that amperage. All right, cool. So that's kind of some of the characteristics of this charge controller. We wanted it mainly because it had the built-in display. You can find, I think this one was like $32, something around there. You can find a lot cheaper charge controllers with right around the same characteristics for $10, $9, and then you can buy a little separate digital voltage display or current display, and you can make your system that way as well. All right, so next component, we have the battery and the inverter. Now on the right side, you see the battery. This was tricky to choose, and in fact, we reached a lot of problems because the batteries in general, you want more amp hours, right? And you want to still keep it at 12 volts. So the amp hours allow you to run the system for a longer period of time. But the more amp hours, the bigger the battery, the heavier, the dimensions get out of control, and you can no longer use a smaller case anymore, especially if you want to store your panels. So you want to keep that in mind when choosing your battery. You might not need your system to be powered for that long, so maybe you could choose a less amp hours, keep your voltage at 12, and choose less amp hours. Again, the possibilities are endless on your end. We chose to use this one, and we went with just a little bit of a bigger case, a rolling case that we'll see later. After the charge controller feeds into the batteries, you have the inverter that then boosts up your voltage and allows you to use many of your household items that you might want to take with you with this system. So our inverter right there is Smart and Cool inverter, 12 volt DC, and outputs 110 volts AC. So there you can see that this inverter, 350 watts, is capable of I would say almost anything you would want in your your little portable system. I don't think, unless you want to power a microwave or an air conditioner or something, you're not going to get that out of this inverter. You're going to need a way bigger system. You're going to need more batteries. You're going to need so much more stuff. So you're just keeping to your mobile surveillance Dragon Board 410C workstation. I think 350 watts should be enough. You can probably get 400, maybe even 500. That will allow you to do a little more stuff. But then you're going to want to bring a bigger battery so that you can power the stuff longer. It's all up to you. Again, so many variables for you to have fun with. So now that we've chosen all those main core components, where are we going to put the stuff? Right here. Well, this is what we picked out. It's a DeWalt tool case, rolling tool case. You can see kind of like an example of the size that it is up there. We stepped up the size. We originally wanted to carry it around with us, but instead decided to make it a rolling case because, again, I've told you the batteries and the panels, we wanted everything to be stored in there. Essentially, what we're going to do is we're going to mount the panels on top of the case. All of the circuitry will be in the bottom end of the case, or the bottom part of the case, and then you will have a layer on top for your workstation. And on the open up, on the side that opens up, you'll have a monitor and a way to monitor also the charge of your station. So you'll have access to your charge controller, which is essentially the core component that you read off, how your system is doing. But you will also have access to a small screen that the Dragon Board will be using in order for you to kind of work on your Dragon Board, of course. Sensors and cameras and all of that other cool surveillance stuff. Well, we're going to try doing as much as possible with that, but we were also going to leave all the choices that you might be able to kind of switch this around and make it even cooler up to you. So we will provide some examples, but in the end, the mobile surveillance system is your own brainchild. So go wild, do what you can with that, and I'm pretty sure we'll see a lot of really cool stuff. Talking a little bit more about this case, I just want to make sure that you kind of get an idea as to why we chose this. The dimensions, as you can see up there, I'm sorry it's in inches. I know the rest of the world is in the metric system, but we're still in inches over here. So conversion, 1 inch is 2.54 centimeters. You can kind of do the math there. We wanted weatherproof. So as you can see, it's water resistance. It's capable of, on the bottom right, I'm reading the bottom right, it's water resistant. It's capable of 88 pounds. 2.2 pounds is 1 kilogram. So it's capable of holding enough weight for us. Essentially we can load in our battery, load in all our components. We can load in maybe a few extra things, the Dragon Board, the screen, and our tray that we need, and we can just roll it away with no problem at all. Nothing's going to break. It's lockable, and yeah. So essentially you can see there that it has pretty much everything we need in a case. We're hoping that you like our choice, but again, feel free to choose anything that you're comfortable with. Now, just a quick little anecdote from us is that while we were choosing our components, make sure you have a tape measure. Make sure you're constantly measuring everything, because you're going to need to make sure that before you order it, you want to make sure your components are going to fit nice and snug and organized inside of your case. This is a problem because you're also going to have to take into account the cables, the connectors, the wiring, the positioning of everything, and yeah. So make sure measure twice, cut once, and essentially measure twice, order once, and you will have the right components that you need. Most of the time when you're ordering, there's sheets like this that show you all the dimensions, so you should be okay with that. I would recommend buying the case first, and then from there building your system as you need it. So as you've seen, these are all the components that we will be using. There will be links provided to you. I will also be providing to you the link for a particular 5-inch monitor that we will be using in the system. I would suggest checking out all of your options wherever you are, and making this kit, this system your own, because that's what the capstone is all about, making it your own and using this as a guideline. So we will be providing for you a lot of really cool examples throughout this, especially in part 2. But just keep that in mind, that we would look forward to seeing your ideas and your experiments. So yeah, we'll see you in the next video. Thank you.